him the credit.
Okay.
He did. He looked presidential.
He looks presidential.
He made excellent case for himself.
Yes.
Except, of course, serious flaws. Flaws in the sense that in a normal society, this is not a normal society. That would have been considered a very serious manifesto.
Yes.
And the promise basically taken seriously by the voters. But this is not normal, like I said. This is a society where he made all these promises for these billions, 250 billion a year, for example, in investment in food and agriculture.
Yes.
But there is agricultural institutions. You see, we use money through institutions.
Yes.
Those institutions, they collapse, they are collapsing, or they have already collapsed. He didn't say how you revive them. He didn't give us a formula for, I said this is abnormal society because we are living corruption culture as a country.
Yes.
Meaning that if you are telling us you're going to set the money assigned for anything in this country, and you are serious, you also need to tell us how you protect that money from yourself and from us.
Yes.
Because we are just an interesting species of human beings. He did not do that.
Okay.
Meaning that he has not seriously taken that as a problem, because you see we have three problems here, if you want to put them that way. Corruption, debt, impunity.
Corruption, debt, impunity. Right. Just leave it at that. Let's hear from Professor Dominic Mwenja as well. Good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Dibal. Nice to see you again. Looking at the promises that Ruto is making to the country, he touched on just about every part of the economy.
Yes.
And he looked at all the things that there was a promise in 2013, 2017. It's a continuation of the same, pretty much the same promises they made in 2017, moving forward. But now what I'm looking at, and you know, the issue on agriculture is important. We need to invest in agri. That's very, very important. Housing, we need to do that. Infrastructure, we need to continue investing in infrastructure. I see, and the creative economy, that one I find it quite interesting, because the way we have defined the creative sector in this country has been limiting to exploitation of the creative energy in our people. So it's interesting to see that as part of the manifesto. Then you talk about the women agenda, small and micro enterprises, security services. There's an interesting thing here that we had recommended way back in 2012 to the National Police Service Commission then. It's interesting to see it now come back in, where the police officers are posted all over the country.
Yes.
Then they become aliens to their own society, where they live or where they came from. Now, during the last years of their service, we had actually recommended that they be sent home to where they, so that they can reconnect back to the community. So that was interesting to see that. Education, of course, the same thing, and it was good to see him come back and support CBC after he had said he's not going to support CBC. Yes. It's the same thing with healthcare. The only thing that I'm looking at governance, and there's something missing in governance. And what is missing in governance? You can have all these things about governance. Like Prof has said, the issue of corruption and infusion of efficiencies in the running of government. That I have not seen, and that's something that we expect that either candidate will be extremely keen on, because the amount of waste and the level of malfeasance that we see in government really need to be looked at, so that we can safeguard all the resources that we are saying we are going to give to everybody in the country.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from Wakili. Good morning, Wakili. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
You look smart.
Thank you so much.
There's another manifesto from you today as well.
At this rate, I think there's need for it. There's need for it because we listen to a lot of sermons and preachings, and the very basics that we need to hear, I don't hear it. Like Kenya Kwanza manifesto, sounding very good. The kind of things, sorry to say, professors I think they told their ladies when they were about to get married, oh, I will do this, I'll build for you a wonderful house. We'll live in Karen.
Promise.
We'll not be involved. Karen. And there will be a car to take it to the market and back and so on. When they were married, they were shown the kitchen, they were shown the garden, they were shown after a short while, babies. This is exactly what I see here. Very grandiose promises.
Grandiose promises.
Very grandiose promises. The only thing is, you just, where are you going to get the money?
Yes. Show me the money.
Show me the money. Where is it going to come from? I look forward to a manifesto where we are saying we are going to spend 3 trillion. And we are going to generate this money in this way. When you say small, opaque things like, we will invest in agriculture. That's a generally opaque thing. This manifesto is very good in terms of the flowering edge, or the way it's coached. But the basics that this economy needs in order for us to grow are not there. For instance, we entirely depend on imports. If you look at this studio, everything we have here, almost including water, is imported. Not because we have to import them, but because policies are not being put so that we are able to locally manufacture them or reassemble them. And then I also wish to hear a manifesto where we say, these are our strengths and we are going to build on them.
Yes.
For instance, does it shock you that as a country, we can't feed ourselves on fish? We don't have enough fish. We have to steal from Uganda, steal from Turkana. We are just thieves. Yet we have a big portion of freshwater lake. You go to China, you see how they do fish farming. You go to Japan and you're like, wow, why can't we import that? Why can't we then say we are going to inject this into local fish farming, like Naivasha, Lake Victoria,
Yes.
Lake Turkana, all this? It is not there. We are talking about, we have gold like coffee. We just talk about we will bring fertilizer, we will bring whatever. Nobody is saying we are going to ensure that we add value to it, that we get the profit. So these are very good when it comes to promising people, we will spend, we will spend, we will spend. But we should now move to where we are saying we will raise money like this. When you hear people coming and we're cheering, my brother, my friend, professor, saying I'll move the airport, the capital to Isiolo, and we are cheering.
We'll come to that.
We were looking at all these things. So the other part that I'm shocked is not here. Mheshimiwa Ruto himself just graduated with a PhD the other day. In science-based PhD. He knows about research. He knows that America, Britain, China, they have moved more on the basis of research. There is no mention of money being allocated. We say we are giving this billions of shillings for research, scientific research.
I think I saw that when they were actually launching the educational charter. It is there.
Indeed.
It is there. It was not really mentioned here because I think this
please,
you just
hear me out.
the
I'm very good at figures. Yesterday, I'm very good at figures. If you hear them saying 250 billion, we will give for this and that. The hustlers will take this. The hustlers. When I'm talking about research, it's not about mentioning. It's not about mentioning because one of the most expensive aspects is actually funding research. It pays well, but it pays long. Now, we are not. Tell me how much he said we'll allocate for this kind of research.
I will whip up that because I think I also have the charter somewhere here. So I'll just give you and show you this is a figure that they're dedicated to research as well. All right, let's hear briefly also from engineer Frederick Nabangi. Good morning. Good to see you, engineer.
Good morning, Duval.
Yes, your highlights, please. Yesterday you saw it. What is your reaction before we go to the nitty-gritties of it as well?
Well, all manifestos essentially are for marketing someone to get into office. So as a marketing tool goes, Kenya Kwanza has a good marketing tool. you could say the candidate has put forward a reasonably good marketing proposal. But like all documents that I read through, the devil is in the detail. Some have already been mentioned. But for me, we are an agricultural country. He has something on agriculture. We are a water-scarce country. I have not seen a clear statement of how agriculture is going to prosper in this country without our doing something to make water much more available and therefore support the agricultural revival that he has talked about. Mm-hmm. There are other items, for example, money for SMEs. It's not come out clearly what what use they have made of the historical failures that SMEs have suffered under government programs, and this would be another government program. Mm-hmm. When you move to the issue of where the money is coming from and linking that to the challenge of corruption, there was a statement about Kenya Kwanza's position on corruption, but in my considered opinion, there is not enough initiative on that as on other areas that have been mentioned to guarantee that corruption will become less a problem so that government projects will probably succeed a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right. Professor Adam Zolo, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Dibal.
Your reaction just briefly before we get to the nitty-gritties, and also we hear the bites from them, both of them.
Dibal, let's say that as I've always said, a manifesto is a statement of intent. I had a lot of intent. I had a lot of timelines being given without a demonstration how this time around is going to be different, given that we have been given timelines before which were never met. And the BAL, just as engineer says, the document has figures basically saying what will be got from where, what will be invested where. The BAL, we know that one area that makes this country leak is corruption. And we know the figures that have been indicated. We didn't hear where the seal on this corruption, whether it will occur and whether that money will be saved to be reinvested. And therefore, for me, the concern is, just as previous very lucrative investments have been looted and money ended in individuals' pockets, is this going to be the same? That's my concern.
Is it going to be the same? Indeed. And that is your concern. I just want us to hear what is they had to say briefly, but I want to show you also what the New African is focusing this month as well. This is the New African, and now it's just trained its focus on the Kenyan election, as it is the Research Africa Youth Survey 2022 shows food achieving self-sufficiency. Nigeria epic elections begins in Uganda, but this is the headline. Looking at it, man of the people versus king in waiting. And we can see what they've put there. Rigathi Gachagua with the William Ruto and Martha Karua. This is a copy that maybe you want to also follow what they're saying in regarding to our elections as well. This is a New African, of course, that is the latest edition of the July-August 2022 publication. But let's buckle down to business and hear what they had to say. And then now we get to, of course, using a fine toothbrush, tease out what can work, what can't work, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's listen in.
Kenya Kwanza is very alive to this council. The economic turbulence that we are in demand more than a manifesto that makes a catalogue of pledges that, if implemented, could push the country beyond the tipping point. It requires a credible economic turnaround plan, a plan that gives Kenyans credible and realistic hope. And that is what we have done in crafting what I call this evening the plan.
All right, that one of course has hung there, but the plan. Well, the plan, if you may go back to 2008, there was the plan. Exactly. If you may remember. So this is not, I remember in 2008, I had to rush and buy the Newsweek, or was it the Time magazine, because someone had made history, you know, and becoming the first black president in the United States. And there was the strategy by David Axelrod called the plan. And this is what now Ruto also has taken as the plan. Is it diametrically different from what the plan that you know, or I can see obviously you're nodding here the plan, so also you're aware of the plan.
Different, and this is different. In the US, the economy was as bad as this one when Obama was coming in. He rolled out a plan because there was one ingredient that was missing in America, which is present here.
Yes.
There was no individuals undermining that plan in terms of corrupt practices. Here, nothing is likely to move. I mean, the Ruto sounds quite brilliant, but he didn't tell us what happens with the Golana project. What happened to that one? You see a history, a visiting what were the weaknesses that led to the collapse of that project, would assist in the plan for food security. Okay, and then when he went to the micro enterprises, I want to show how that differs from the Obama revival, because Obama revitalized America. That plan worked. He put America back on his feet. So when he talked about the small businesses and all that, but there are three categories of small businesses. You have a micro enterprise with 0 to 4 employees. You have a small scale enterprise with 5 to 19 employees, and then you have a medium enterprise. He didn't tell us how he planned to move the micro enterprise to a small scale and then to medium enterprise. Because that progression would make sense. When you look now, we have 95% saturation on micro enterprises.
Yes.
Adding another 5,000 does not add anything to the economy.
Oh yeah, but for the sake of just discussion, I want us just to go blow by blow, where we can peg our thoughts so that at least we can have a seamless flow when you're looking at SMEs, the housing, the agriculture, the way he went, looking at the different sectors, so that we don't have a hodgepodge of suggestion, of everything, so that at least even if we can really follow a seamless flow of a discussion as well. The plan is what I'm talking about, the plan. I think Professor Demnica Mwenje, you were in the US by then. You're aware of the plan, and David Axelrod, the chief presidential campaign strategist of Barack Obama. Yes. Yeah. How was the plan, and how did it diametrically change then, and this plan that we have for Deputy President William Ruto?
Thank you. I remember 2008 when Obama was elected. I think that was the second time I cried in public, because I was happy. I was happy because, and my children are asking me, Daddy, why are you crying? It's like, I never thought this would be possible in my lifetime. In my lifetime, to have a black president of the United States. What Obama brought was hope. He brought hope and a clear direction on how they were going to fix the mess that was happening. Remember that time, 2006, 2007, 2008, that's when we had some serious financial crisis in the US and across the globe, mostly fed by the issues we had within the housing sector in the US. And with all that mess that was happening, Obama brought hope, and he brought hope because he was a fresh breath of air coming from someone that nobody expected to be able to lead the country. And when that happened, and the plans that he put together were plans that were based on the actual problems the country was facing, and he had a roadmap to get there. And that roadmap included some departures from some of the previous practices that we had seen with the Republican Party, with the Democratic Party, to make sure that the country is focused and focused on recovery. What I see here in this, like engineer said, this is a good marketing plan for Kenya Kwanza. And telling Kenyans, like Wakiri was saying, you, my bride, these are the promises I'm going to make, a nice house, a nice this, a nice everything else. But the glue that holds all these things together, and that's what I'm trying to say is missing, is the issue of governance. You can make all the promises that you make, but the issue of governance, how are you going to manage all these resources? And also at the same time, with all these promises that we see here, how are we going to fund them? That's, for me, that's key. How are we going to fund all these promises we have made here? That's hundreds of billions of shillings that we are looking at.
Thank you.
Funding is key, and how are we going to safeguard that money?
That is a big question, and of course that question has been also posed by Ambrose Weda. We'll come back to how then will they fund. Critically, we look at how these are the promises. Now this is the gap, and this is the deficit that they will be entering in government with, you know, where we have the debt ceiling that has been raised as well. So, Ambrose Weda, the plan,
I think...
does titling also of your manifesto add any difference? If you say this is a plan.
Yes, I think his team, they're branding very well.
They're branding very well.
They're branding very well. They're targeting the audience. They are doing well. You look at their style, their body language, the way they have organized it. The way it sounds convincing. The way it convinces a girl until she asks you, where will the money come from?
And then if you start fumbling.
Then you may tell her, dear, we will pool our resources together. Then it's like, then why are you promising me? What is all this? So these plans, the Kenyans, they will ask, where will the money come from?
Yes.
And then the chief chicken seller, Sir William Ruto, Dr. will tell them, I will increase the taxes. The taxes. We are sinking under taxes, and they did not mention reduction of taxes. They will not say we will do this. This will result in reduction of taxes. Taxes on petrol alone, on fuel, which then catapults into others. Nobody is mentioning. It is very high. We are taxing even cooking oil. Now cooking oil is more dear than fuel in this country. So when you hear all these goodies, Kenyans should know, brace yourself for more taxes, more expenses. And that is the soul. That's the part I'm saying, wow. So the plan is a good titling. The plan sounds very good until you go deep into it. That plan is good in terms of gather from here, gather from there, gather from here. But I don't think it is from the bottom up. I don't think it is from the bottom up. The bottom up would have been founded on our strengths. We have so many good things. Told we have freshwater lakes. We have good climate. There was a time in this country that flowers alone, our flowers were smelling nicer, sweeter in the world. Now we have forgotten that. We want to just distribute money. I'll get 6,000 there, give. I'll get 10,000 there. We'll give people money. We can't even feed ourselves on tomatoes. We have to bring them from Uganda, Tanzania. If you look at chicken feed, we can't manufacture our own, which is cost effective. So our strengths, what we have, what we are strong on,
yes,
was not in the manifesto, was not in the plan. What we are weak on, what we really don't need for now so much, we are putting in a lot of money. 40 billion sling digital superhighway. Given to somebody who is saying, Unga, it's 250. Just reduce it to 200. So The plan, yes, because Obama and his people said the plan. But looking at it with my economic eye, I think Kenyans should brace themselves for huge taxation. Yes. Remember that 3/4 of our collection as a country goes towards payments of debt.
Yes.
What remains, another 3/4 go to payment of debt. The quarter that remains, 70% of it goes towards payment of salaries and emoluments. So we remain with a little. That little does not fit into this 250 billion, 250 billion, all these billion. No, it doesn't fit there. So somebody will have to tell you, where does this 250 billion, 40 billion, 200 billion, where will it come from? Borrowing or prayer should have told us there. So one of the key pillars would have said therefore is prayer for money. Whether that is an economic term, I don't know.
All right. All right. So let me hear from engineer as well. The plan.
Yeah, well,
Sounds good. Is it original?
Kenya Kwanza does a great marketing job. The plan for Kenya is a good way of introducing this futuristic politics, because we shall have more plans. However, all plans, political plans for that matter, must be very clear about the economic viability of the same plan before we go to the social viability and then the political. Because you get elected when people are already sure that your economics are right and that the advantages the economics bring will be good for the society. This plan has not shown the viability of the economic proposals. For example, I said earlier, small enterprise development in this country is not new. It was done, with a frenzy in the 90s and in early 2000. But all the projects started for improving the SMEs, the micro, and even the small enterprises.
Right. Let me just say, butt in a bit, engineer.
Yes.
Would you kindly just look at the camera in front of you?
Yeah,
I can just see the profile. I want you to just so talk to me.
Okay.
Talk to audience. Yes.
Yeah. So the attempts to use the small enterprises to improve economic performance of this country, all of them failed, and there are reasons they failed. One of the reasons is that we have policies which are anti-small and micro enterprises. Another one is that we have always assumed that when people fail to get employed, then they become entrepreneurs. That is one very huge fallacy that has made certain that our small enterprises never grow. People use them as means of survival, and yet the government sometimes with that erroneous thinking, pushes more money to support people who are in survival mode, yet entrepreneurs are supposed to create value, grow the economy, and expand opportunity for everybody else.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Prof. Adam Zolo, briefly on the plan as well. Now we gravitate now to agriculture and look intensively at that as well.
Yes, Dibal, just as my fellow panelists have said, give them branding, give them. And you could see there's the plan, which is basically from Obama, and there's Freedom is Coming, which is basically borrowed from South Africa. But Dibal, when you look at what they are borrowing and branding from, the plan, if you remember Obama, when he first popped up on the stage in America, one of the quotes that will always remain in the echelons of America is that there's only one America. There's no black America, there's no white America. And later, as my fellow panelists have said there, he engrossed it into a plan. When you go to Freedom is Coming, and you go and see Nelson Mandela's long walk to freedom, and you see really freedom with appetite being put aside. But when you come to this plan, and let me just read you a section where they call a perfect storm.
Yes.
It reads, "We are presently confronted by three challenges that have converged into the perfect economic storm. The first is an external shock of rising inflation and interest rates occasioned by COVID-19, related global supply chain bottlenecks, the economic stimulus spending in the major economies, and the Ukraine war." That's what is in the manifesto. But when he goes to the platform to address the same audience when he's launching the manifesto, he tells you, forget the Ukraine war. Our problem is just the fact that subsidies were taken away from agriculture. When he goes to a public rally, he doesn't mention this. He says that the problem was the handshake. That hypocritical approach, and you say you have a plan, cannot work in Kenya.
Indeed. Thank you. All right, cannot really work in Kenya. We want to just hear what he had to say about the tea sector and to highlight broadly what is happening as far as agriculture is concerned. But let's just look at some of the issues they had to raise with the agriculture so that we can say where is the money, as you're saying. This is the pledge that he made on agriculture sector, food security, an investment of at least 250 billion shillings in 5 years, effective 2023. Transform 2 million poor farmers from food deficit to surplus producers, raise productivity of key value food chains, and cut basic food imports by 30%. Now, I listened yesterday, I took some notes where he said that what UDA or what Kenya Kwanza will do is, one, adequate, affordable capital to farmers. And I think this is where we have a 250 billion shillings that is talking adequate, affordable capital to farmers. Two, guarantee their return. That is availability of their market for their produce. And he talked about guaranteed minimum mechanism. And then we talk about reduction of basic food imports. That in this country we are, even the basics we are importing right now. You talk of the tomatoes that we're talking about, the rice that we're talking about right now. Invest in underperforming markets, which he didn't really mention what these underperforming markets are right now. Maybe you can help us, a gentleman, to tell me which are these underperforming markets that we're talking about. Emerging crops, the avocado and the macadamia and the other cash crops as well. This is something is highlighted. And the value addition to our tea sector in this country. Let's just listen in briefly to what he had to say, then we try and tease out on the agriculture bit.
Agriculture has the potential to sort it out for us. Investing in agriculture, a farmer who produces 10 bags today per acre because they are struggling. The same farmer can produce 20, 25 bags if we supported them with a capital to plow in time, get the correct certified seed, get subsidized fertilizer, and ensure that the post-harvest challenges are managed. The same farmer in the same farm, just by capitalizing their operations, they can double their production. And when they double their production, it means they can sell at a lower price to the consumer. Therefore, the challenge of cost of living is not too scientific. The challenge of cost of living is increasing agricultural productivity, period.
Interesting. They are increasing agricultural productivity. Let's just begin with you, Professor Gitile, on that particular note and what you've had. Your reaction?
First, let me say very quickly that Obama plan didn't work. there was a two-track. First, he went to Congress, got money, and funded the filling industries. Remember all those tranches, those millions, and those people are able to pay those money within 2 years, pay back to the government. What he was doing that, the Justice Department was on people who collapsed Enron, the people who messed up the stock market. Most of those people went to jail for several years. That will not happen here. So now agriculture, coming to what Ruto is saying, I think UDA is too much into what is called distributive economics.
Distributive
economics, it does not deliver. You remember what the Kibaki did to expand this economy when he came in?
Yes.
Kibaki did not distribute any money to anybody. He sat the national banks down, told them we need this interest rate to go down so people can borrow and invest. They didn't agree. He moved to parliament, got the microfinance licenses in banks. Overnight, the money was available for people to invest in their businesses, to build their homes. So he transformed the economy, not by giving anybody any money, but by having a policy that reduced interest rate. Now, here, if Ruto were to say first he will dismantle the cartels, which have made it impossible for farmers to work, because he says capital to the farmers. This capital will still go through the cartels. The cost of production will still be very high because the money set aside to improve agriculture, to subsidize the fertilizers, must still pass through these cartels. He didn't say anything about dismantling the existing cartels, which have made the production in Kenya expensive. Because there is no reason why Tanzania or Uganda should produce at cheaper than us. We live in the same geographical area. So there is no advantages there which don't pertain here. Our problem is cartels. Our problem is state capture. He didn't mention any of that. If you don't address that, remember what we said Obama's plan worked?
Yes.
Because the Justice Department was busy jailing people, thieves. Jailing those people undermined the economy. If we don't tie this together, these are mere promises. This is a distributive economics, and it will not deliver.
Distributive economics, it will not deliver. You hold the same view as well, Professor Dominic Mwenja.
The issue of agriculture is very dear to me because I'm in that space.
Yes.
What I expected the Deputy President and his people on the plan to cover is specific areas. First of all, we need to be food secure, and we are not food secure in this country. Second of all, if you remember yesterday's paper, yes, half of the ASA regions in this country are food insecure. So the question is, how are we going to make sure that these people are food secure? Just focusing on a few cash crops does not solve our food problems. The things that he's saying about agriculture, we all know that we need to increase productivity. The question is, how are we going to increase productivity? What are we going to do? What investments are we going to do? What plans do we have for making sure that those sectors within the agricultural sector itself very specifically are able to be improved? Now, having said that, and I go back to what Weda was saying here. If you go to Turkana area, for example, the whole of that region, we have a fantastic lake. A few years ago, I was in Norway because I spent time in Norway because I wanted to understand how the fish production in Norway works.
Yes.
Fish is the second largest producer of foreign currency in Norway after oil and gas. Now, how do they do it? By simply focusing on the entire value chain of fish production. We tried to come here and do the same thing with Lake Turkana, and became almost impossible for us to be able to do that. That lake is capable of giving us more than 10 billion shillings worth of fish, and this country could be fish secure. So what I need to know and to see is specific plans on how specific sectors of the agricultural sector itself are going to be addressed. Once we start doing that, and then the inefficiencies are there, and I keep go back to what Prof was saying. Right now we are maize insecure. Why are we maize insecure? First of all, we killed Garana Gulalu, and yesterday we asked who killed Garana Gulalu. Then from there, Why are Tanzanians producing more grain than we are? We are importing all this food from them. What is it that they are doing different? Do they have more mass in terms of land than we do? Is there more productivity? Those are issues that are specific to farmers and productivity in this country. Those are the things we want to hear, but not these plans that actually do not have. We need to see the meat. Show me the meat. Where is the meat? But don't give me a big plan that is not specific enough. And we see how are we going to get the money to fix all these things.
All right. Whether you hold with the same view, distributive economy, will it work out? Agriculture sector, what has been highlighted?
If you looked at the nation,
yes, the nation.
There's something we always call the bottom line.
The bottom line.
Bottom line. Here is 250 billion, 250 billion, 200 billion, 250 billion.
Yes.
We are talking about $1 trillion plus in a country where our collection is 1.6 trillion.
Yes.
But the basics, the allocations off the cuff are already 2 trillion. That just shows you there's a problem with what they're talking about. The deputy president, a great man, admirable, and I really love him. The question is, has he made his money from agriculture? Are we prescribing to people medicine that we can't swallow ourselves? I don't think the farmers are asking for money. I have not, the farmers in my village, where I come from, I've never had anyone looking for money from government. They are asking for basic things, basic things. The Maasais with their cattle are not looking for money. They are looking for other interventions that enable them to grow as they have been growing since time immemorial. So this thing of Tumetenga, we have relocated these socialistic tendencies. You hear it here, now you hear the word socialism. We will give, we will give. We are supposed to grow capacity. If somebody's fish farming, capacity. If the Maasai is doing his cows, capacity. We get more milk from Kiambu than we get it from entire Nyanza province. Why? Capacity, capacity, capacity. That includes skill, that includes protection, that includes policies that enable people to grow. Why would we not? We eat chicken everywhere. We say chicken, 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 chicken. Where is the capacity? The farmers are not asking for money. They are just saying, chicken feed, we have to illegally import them from Uganda because they are cheaper from Uganda. Uganda is a lesser economy than Kenya. We get onions from Tanzania. We get these things from Tanzania. Why? Our economy is bigger. So what is wrong? These are not in this manifesto. So these are nice things for your ears. But when we go to the bottom line, there are very basics that if we address as a country. Look at one of the things where we lose a lot of money is importation of sugar. 70% of sugar we consume come from outside, and it is low quality sugar. We have the best land, the best agriculture, best places for sugar. It is not about allocating money to factories. It's about looking at the whole chain, and it is workable. I've been into the sugar industry and I know it is very workable. But the so-called cartels, because the leaders themselves are saying, tutatenga, tutapeana, tutapeana. People know what are the farmers saying? The farmers are saying, we are ready and willing to do the farming. What we want is to be paid on time.
Thank you.
That does not require Tumetenga. That requires policies, arresting people who are doing the wrong things, the thieves. But if you have made your billions outside agriculture, outside normal work, outside, you don't have factories, then you can only go through the policy of we have set aside. From where? From zero, meaning high taxes. And we rebuke more high taxes in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus, let's take that short break right now. When we circle back, we of course continue with that, hear from Engineer Nabangi as well, and Professor Adam Zulo on that agriculture bit as well. By the way, also he mentioned about livestock and how he will streamline that particular sector that is performing dismally. We'll try and look at the Ministry of Industrialization and also the strategy on